They thought I was finished. They thought they could laugh at my downfall. They had no idea I was about to become the headline they couldn't escape. Family reunions are supposed to be about laughter, old memories, and reconnecting, but the Hargrove family gathering had turned into something else entirely, a yearly showcase of wealth, titles, and one-upmanship. My name is Daniel Hargrove, and until 2 months ago I was the principal software architect at Stratus Tech, a rising star in Chicago's tech scene. Today, I was the family's cautionary tale, the guy everyone avoided direct eye contact with as they swapped success stories over sparkling cider. Did you hear about Daniel? Poor guy, such wasted potential. At 38, I stood near the koi pond in my uncle's palatial backyard, swirling a drink and watching my cousins dominate the evening. Jessica, who'd just made partner at a major law firm, beamed as she detailed her latest courtroom victory. Her brother Evan, a venture capitalist, held court, bragging about a $200 million 0-cents acquisition he helped broker. "Daniel," Evan called out, voice dripping with false warmth, loud enough for the crowd to turn and smirk, "come join us, we're talking about career pivots." His grin said it all. He'd waited years for this. While Evan schmoozed investors and played politics, I had been in the trenches, crafting code, solving real problems, building things that actually work. "How's unemployment treating you?" Jessica asked sweetly. "I heard Stratus Tech cut you loose during budget downsizing. Tech's so unstable these days, isn't it?" Unstable? Sure. That's one way to spin what happened. What no one at this reunion knew, yet, was that the real story was just seconds from breaking. I glanced at my phone. 5:57 p.m. Central Time. Right on cue, every system at Stratus Tech would begin running my final gift. A scheduled code release buried deep in their infrastructure. One that would trigger a media frenzy. "You know," Evan said smugly, "real innovation is about foresight." I smiled, remembering the platform I'd spent years quietly building. Something that would make Evan's world-class investments look like lemonade stands. Fired at 38, they had no idea what was coming. All eyes turned to see how the family failure would respond. I checked my phone again. 5:58 p.m. Let me tell you what really happened at Stratus Tech. 4 years ago, I began working on a side project. Not just any project, an adaptive AI security platform designed to predict, counter, and neutralize cyber threats in real time. I called it Sentinel. While everyone else chased flashy user interfaces and cheap scalability, I built something different. Quietly, line by line, firewall by firewall, I created an AI that could learn faster, defend smarter, and grow stronger with every attack. But I wasn't naive. I had seen too many developers lose their life's work to corporate backstabbing. So I embedded a fail-safe, a hidden verification protocol deep inside Sentinel's code that would activate under very specific conditions. 2 months ago, Sterling Cross, Stratus Tech's shiny new CEO, called me into his glass-walled office. "Daniel," he said, barely glancing up from his emails, "we're pivoting. The board wants us to prioritize consumer-focused solutions." "Your security project is canceled." I opened my mouth to explain Sentinel's potential. He waved me off. "We've already sold the code to a private defense group. You're being let go." What Sterling didn't realize was that I had seen this coming from the very first line of code. The next day, headlines exploded. Stratus Tech secures $1,200 million 0-cents defense contract with breakthrough AI technology. I signed their airtight NDA without protest. Let them think they'd won. Because I knew something they didn't. Sentinel wasn't just code. It was a living witness. And tonight, during their automated system update, the verification sequence would activate, exposing the real architect behind it all. "You should have stayed out of coding," Evan was smirking across the lawn, "left it to the kids." I smiled to myself, right as my phone buzzed with a news alert. Jessica noticed. "Job offer?" she teased. I just chuckled. "Not exactly." "I hear the local diner's hiring dishwashers," Evan snickered. 5:09 p.m. Central Time. Somewhere in downtown Chicago, inside Stratus Tech's sleek headquarters, Sterling Cross was probably polishing his Monday morning speech, the one where he'd bask in the glory of Sentinel, my life's work. The same Sterling Cross who once told me, real visionaries don't waste time coding. The same Sterling Cross who sold my innovation to the highest bidder without blinking. The same Sterling Cross who, in about 60 seconds, was about to learn just how dangerous it is to underestimate the outdated developer. Actually, I said, raising my voice enough for the gathering crowd to hush, why don't we all pull out our phones? The next few minutes might get interesting. Jessica rolled her eyes. Evan laughed. What's this? Another sad app launch? Trevor joked, the arrogance of youth practically radiating off him. I checked my watch. 6:00 p.m. sharp. Right on cue, my phone buzzed first, then Jessica's, Evan's, Trevor's, and then a ripple of dings across the yard. Breaking news banners flashed across every screen. Stratus Tech stock halted amidst code ownership scandal. Evan's grin froze. Jessica's fingers trembled as she swiped through the articles. What the hell is happening? Trevor barked. I took a slow sip of my drink. Oh, just a tiny system update. You see, when I built Sentinel, I left behind a special little feature. More alerts flooded in. Department of Defense suspends $1.2 billion 0 cents contract pending investigation. Nah. Exclusive. Stratus Tech, engineer behind Sentinel's core development. Peter's voice, once smug, was now barely a whisper. What? What did you do? I set my drink down and pulled out the same battered laptop where I had birthed Sentinel. Want to see? I offered. Since you're all such experts in innovation. They crowded around, silent now. I logged into a secure feed showing Sentinel's verification protocol in action. Lines of code scrolled past. Dates, signatures, embedded markers. All tracing the entire architecture back to me. 5 years, 2 months, and 19 days, every keystroke accounted for. Every stolen dream, finally reclaimed. I continued, my voice even. That's how long I spent building Sentinel. 5 years. Every night, every weekend, while Sterling Cross and his visionaries were busy posing at galas and tech conferences, taking credit for work they barely understood. Across the lawn, Aunt Meredith, Evan and Jessica's mother, gasped as her phone buzzed again. Stratus Tech faces federal investigation over code ownership scandal. But they fired you, Trevor blurted out, his earlier bravado slipping. They owned your work, right? I smiled, pulling up another window on my laptop. Actually, they didn't. You see, Sentinel wasn't a Stratus Tech project. I developed it independently, outside company hours, using my own equipment, my own funding. I only tested it on their servers after receiving explicit written authorization. I clicked, and up came an email chain. Sterling Cross's dismissive approval, digitally timestamped and signed. The document that preserved my ownership rights. When Cross sold my platform to the defense sector, he triggered the failsafe, I explained. But I designed it to wait, to record every illegal claim, every tampering attempt, until the moment exposure would hurt them the most. Evan leaned forward, eyes widening as the true scope hit him. The billion-dollar contract, it's based on stolen tech, I finished. A Cross sold something he didn't invent, didn't understand, and now the world knows. My phone rang, flashing a familiar name. Sterling Cross. I declined the call without a second thought. But that's not even the best part, I said, tapping again. A folder opened, 17 patent certificates, officially filed under my name, covering every critical piece of Sentinel's architecture. Jessica's lawyer instincts kicked in. You mean Stratus Tech doesn't own anything? I nodded. Every algorithm, every security protocol, every innovation they sold, it's all mine. And thanks to Sterling's public lies, proving theft will be remarkably straightforward. Trevor stared at his screen in disbelief. Their stock's gonna implode when markets open. Probably, I said, sipping my drink. Fraud tends to be bad for business. More phones buzzed. Lawyers, reporters, investors. The entire family's once flawless image was now sinking fast. "Why?" Evan finally croaked. "Why wait?" Evan asked, voice tight. "Why let them fire you if you had all this?" I thought about every developer I'd ever known who had their ideas stolen, their names erased, their futures handed to someone else's ego. "Because sometimes," I said calmly, "justice needs an audience. And sometimes people need to learn the hard way that success isn't about grabbing the spotlight first, it's about who actually does the work." My phone buzzed again. I glanced down. An email from Sara Martinez, CEO of Oracle. "Impressive authentication protocol. Would you be open to discussing Sentinel's true potential? Dinner next week." I casually tilted my screen toward my stunned cousins. "Seems guest programming still my thing after all," I added with a small smile. The sun was dipping below my aunt's perfectly manicured hedges, casting long, heavy shadows over the silent backyard. In downtown Chicago, I imagined Sterling Cross staring at the ruins of his legacy, wondering how it had all unraveled so fast. Tomorrow would bring headlines, investigations, subpoenas. But tonight belonged to the truth. I watched as the faces around me shifted, realization settling in like a slow tide. That real value doesn't come from polished speeches, luxury cars, or fat investment rounds. Sometimes it comes from being underestimated, from being the quiet one they all overlooked. Amanda says, sometimes it comes from writing something so elegant, so unstoppable, that it only needed patience and the right moment to reveal itself. Peter's phone rang again, no doubt a panicked investor. Amanda furiously typed on her phone, coordinating with PR. Trevor stared into space, his illusions about success quietly shattering. I checked my watch one last time. 6:30 p.m. Sentinel had done its job. The truth was free. And across the skyline, a very expensive lesson about respecting builders, not just sellers, was just beginning. 1 month later, I sat in Oracle's glass-walled executive conference room, watching Sara Martinez wrap up her pitch to the board. On the screen, Sentinel defended Oracle's global network in real time, agile, adaptive, brilliant. In just 4 weeks, Sara said, Sentinel neutralized over 3,200 cyber attacks, adapted to 19 new threat models, and cut our security response time by 87%. Board members who once looked skeptical now leaned forward, visibly impressed. "You developed this independently?" one of them asked, eyes wide. I nodded. "Nights, weekends, my own gear. Not a single line belongs to Stratus Tech." Stratus Tech only provided the testing environment, I explained, with documented permission that maintained my IP rights. The same environment that had allowed me to fine-tune Sentinel's authentication protocol. The very feature that had exposed Sterling Cross's theft to the world. "Well then," Sara Martinez said, smiling around the Oracle boardroom, "I think we're all in agreement. Shall we make it official?" The board's vote was unanimous. By evening, the announcement would hit every major news outlet. Oracle acquires exclusive rights to Sentinel for $4,200,000,000, 0 cents. And me? I'd be stepping in as Chief Technology Officer, overseeing Sentinel's global integration. My phone had been buzzing non-stop since the scandal broke. Journalists wanted interviews. Developers' rights groups wanted keynote speakers. Congressional committees wanted testimony on IP theft. But the messages that caught my attention most came from developers. Hundreds of them. Stories of stolen ideas, of long hours, dismissed contributions, executives taking bows for work they couldn't even understand. Sentinel had become more than just a cybersecurity platform. It had become a symbol, a quiet rebellion against an industry too often ruled by theft over creation. As I left Oracle's headquarters, my phone rang, a familiar number. "Hey, Evan," I said, answering. His voice was tight. "Daniel, I need your help." After the Stratus Tech fallout, Evan's venture capital firm had come under brutal scrutiny. Investors discovered that much of the tech he backed wasn't truly innovative. It was cobbled together by mistreated engineers buried under NDAs. "My developers are leaving," he confessed. "Funding's dried up. I didn't understand. Didn't understand what? The three of us can really specify my budget. From actually building something, not just taking credit. I thought of the young engineers Evans' firms had buried. I gave a small nod to myself. Send me their names, I said. Oracle's expanding. We need people who understand code and ethics. Later that evening, I stopped by Stratus Tech's crumbling headquarters. Most of the lights were dark now, bankruptcy proceedings underway, criminal investigations mounting. In the lot, I spotted a familiar face, Jimmy Chen, a junior developer who had quietly supported me all along. Mr. Hargrove, he called out, grinning. Or should I say, Mr. CTO? I laughed. Just Daniel's fine. And you? I asked. Actually, Haori's Jimmy beamed. Better than ever. After Sentinel exposed Cross, Jimmy said, we junior developers started organizing, documenting everything. He held up his phone, showing me a sleek website. Developers from all over the industry were sharing their stories, connecting, supporting one another, demanding rightful recognition for their work. We're calling it the Sentinel Protocol. Jimmy grinned. A way to protect developers' rights and expose theft. You inspired it. I stared at the screen, memories flooding back, all the late nights, the quiet injustices, the stolen credit. And now, a movement. Send me the link, I said. Oracle's new ethics board might want to support this. My phone buzzed again, a new message. From Jessica. After the fallout, Google had launched an internal review into code attribution practices. Jessica had been asked to step down, pending investigation. I get it now, her text read. Why you stayed in development instead of chasing titles. Real power isn't in taking credit, it's in creating something that matters. That night, I sat at home with my old laptop, the one where Sentinel had first come to life. Across the globe, Sentinel now shielded critical networks, thwarted thousands of cyber attacks, and saved companies from unseen disasters. But its real impact? It was the awakening it sparked. New standards for code attribution, stronger protections for developers, and a growing movement that demanded respect for the ones who actually build the future. My phone buzzed one more time. A message from Trevor, the same cousin who had laughed at me at the reunion. Starting coding classes next week, he wrote. Think you could mentor me? I want to learn how to build something real. I smiled, remembering the path I'd walked from overlooked coder to industry changemaker. Lesson 1, I replied. Success isn't about who grabs the credit. It's about who does the work and protects what they build. Outside my window, the Chicago skyline shimmered under the stars. Tomorrow, I'd step into my new role as Oracle's CTO. Next week, I'd testify before Congress about protecting innovation. And tonight, I opened a new project file. A fresh idea, a new journal, another chance to prove that real power in tech doesn't come from titles or takeovers. It comes from those who dare to build something that lasts. Because every line of code tells a story. Mine just rewrote the rules. If you've stayed with me through this story, this isn't just about me, it's about every creator, every builder who was overlooked, underestimated, or pushed aside. If my journey spoke to you, I'd love to hear your story. Have you ever had your work stolen? Been told you weren't good enough, only to prove them wrong? Share it in the comments below. Let's create a space where real builders can be seen, heard, and respected. And if I can leave you with one piece of advice, it's this. Protect what you build. Respect your work. Success isn't about grabbing the spotlight. It's about creating something that matters. Stay patient, stay strategic, stay true to what you know you're capable of. The world might not recognize your worth at first, but real value always reveals itself in time. We are the makers, the ones who turn ideas into reality. Never let anyone steal that from you. If you believe in building a future where creators are valued, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your voice matters here. Let's build something better together.